Welcome to Confessions of a Plant-Powered Sisterhood with Catherine Lawrence,
Brooke Ali,
and Dr. T,
where we discuss sex,
life,
and aging
in our 40s,
50s,
and 60s.
Yeah, so welcome everybody. Today we are talking about lubrication and
Ooh.
lube and all sorts of fun stuff. Guys, I've been doing a lot of research on this lately for our sex class. And I know lubrication is something that is a thing, we've talked about it, how it can happen postmenopausal, like having natural lubrication issues. But I know a lot of younger people, sexually active people are needing lubricants or preferring lubricants. And I think since I'm more like on the disease prevention side, I think this is so interesting. The more I learn about it, like we women shove all sorts of things up there and all sorts of things, literally without ever asking any questions. I mean, and lube is just one. I remember, thinking about what I was taught when I was younger and with, feminine products and cleaning, all that. And then lubrication, like most of the lubes on the market are highly toxic. They actually can cause vaginal cancers and things. And I just willy-nilly put whatever up there for quite some time before I really got informed. And so we're going to talk about lubrication today, and maybe even making your own. And so,
yes.
yeah,
my only comment I have on this is I just remember reading articles about how Hugh Hefner used to have the Playboy bunnies use baby oil.
Oh my God.
And how that would cause issues. And so there was one Playboy bunny that was writing this, or she was speaking out the most about it, saying how it caused all kinds of infections for her. And she'd be like, you can't use it. And he'd be like, no, I'm not going to use it. And then he'd sneak it in.
Yeah. Sneak it in.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Baby oil.
Yeah.
Ow.
Wow.
Oh, good. I'm looking forward to it. I'm taking notes.
I haven't, it's not something I personally have had a challenge with. Like, but I remember talking to a friend who was in her 20s, and she was saying, oh yeah, we have that problem, and we use coconut oil and all sorts of things. And so I think it's a pretty like commonly used thing. Like people are searching for solutions, and it can be from all sorts of things, like either just, I usually come at things from like maybe a food perspective of like, is that a dietary imbalance? Is there an acid alkaline imbalance? And, what I've learned from some of them, it was more a relationship imbalance. And it turned out she was really trying hard to be what she felt like she needed to be in that relationship. And so like, I feel like I was like, girl, your vagina's telling the truth. Your vagina's not letting you lie. Because if he's not, if you're 25 and he's not exciting you like that, your body is showing that. Yeah, I guess I've been in situations like that where I was, trying and not quite, not quite in there for it.
Yeah. Well, because it's so much more than just foreplay. In women, it's relationship. It's like what they said to you, 2 hours before is still in your head. And you're like, you want to have sex now? And you just said, like, you're remembering all the stuff that they said. And you're like, for some reason, it's just really dry down there. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember I went to, I think it was like a marriage class or something, but they were talking about foreplay for the men starts like 5 minutes before. And for a woman, it starts 24 hours before. Like it usually starts in the kitchen. And builds up to it. So I wonder if that means it takes us a while to create that. I don't know. Yeah. What I get concerned about is when women do have those challenges and then they make choices like Hugh Hefner with the baby oil and things like that. Because most of the lubricants on the market now, including like what comes on condoms, they can be really toxic. But what they do over time is they actually thin the lining of the vagina. And then that makes it harder for her to produce her own lubrication anyway. it kind of creates this cycle. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like a dependency almost.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a higher need for it because they have to use it because she's dry. And then it creates this bad environment. And so it's something that, that we can make at home or get healthier versions.
I like this. This is
there's some
piece of paper here.
I know. I'm ready to write down the formula.
Go. Tell me what it is.
We're doing it now. Okay.
No, whatever. No, I think this is a wonderful topic. Because I think it's important. I think like you just said, one of the most outstanding things that women shove all kinds of stuff up their vaginas. I mean, it is amazing all the products that we use, and we don't. I
want to share something on condoms if I can, because they have lubricants, but I think often the condom is thought of as like the man's responsibility if that's what you're using, but those condoms have chemicals. And the spermicide that's on the outside of the condom intended to prevent pregnancy, very, very toxic. I mean, those have shown to trigger tumor growth in the vagina, all kinds of problems. But I wanted to share a personal experience. I was with someone and we used condoms as one method of birth control. And like, I've always been fine down there, nothing to worry about, like lubrication was fine and all that. But like, as the longer our relationship went on, I started to get, I used to have some bleeding during sex. And and at first I was like really embarrassed about it. Like, it's my fault. And, and I was like, oh, wait, it's not my cycle. What's going on? And then we would continue. And then the bleeding eventually got like worse and worse. And it only happened during sex. And it became painful. And that kind of triggered me to do some research. That's just what I do. And it turns out these chemicals, because they were just like regular common drugstore condoms, right? And so these chemicals actually over time in our relationship, they were thinning the lining of my vaginal tissue. And so then when I had sex, it was so thin, I was bleeding, and I would never have this problem, when I wasn't. And so I learned that I had, and it sent me on this huge, I went to the gynecologist and she can't figure out what's wrong. And then I got to talk about, my mom's like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I don't like this thing. And it created this big thing for me, not for him. Not for him, because I was just like, oh, you've got condoms. That's great. You've done your job, and it created this whole, and it was expensive. I didn't have insurance at the time, and I'm chasing this problem. And then randomly, I don't know, maybe one of my friends kind of like said something, and it's like, I'm going to look at it. And I was already vegan at the time, and I was like, oh, maybe I should look into a vegan condom. But I discovered like all of this bad stuff, like not just spermicide, but stuff that's put on there for lubricant. It had vagina. And so we stopped using those. We switched to an organic brand that did happen, that was vegan, but it was non-toxic and really good. And then never had that problem again.
Wow.
Yeah. And I wonder like how many.
What was it? Do you know what it was on that?
Like Trojan or something?
It was one of the regular brand, like Trojan or something else. But that's what led me to do all this research. Like 50%, like 95% of the lubricants and condoms on the market have these really, really dangerous chemicals. So glycerin is one. It actually feeds yeast. That's common on condoms.
Yeast infection.
Yeast infections. And then there's another one, non-oxynol. That's the most common spermicide. It literally, listens to this, it damages healthy cells along the vaginal wall. And they actually make a woman more susceptible to STIs.
Oh my
gosh. Like sexually transmitted infections. I know.
Wow.
And other reproductive diseases. And get this, it causes inflammation in the tissue, which damages the cervix.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Bam. And that's why I was like, what is going on? It could create this whole cycle. And then there's this one.
Wow.
Oh, if someone is using condoms, like if a man is, and there's some that have an ingredient that helps them, like it's supposed to help them stay hard longer. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's called benzocaine. So that's added to condoms. Yeah, to help men last longer. And it's because it's like numbing. So it kind of reduces their sensation. This is actually a known endocrine disruptor and it damages our reproductive system. And so before I tell you the good brands, I know I was looking at the conundrum of this. And in some of our other podcasts, we've talked about, you know, how you were saying in a previous one that medical research didn't even include women until 1981. I think of like all of these chemicals and condoms and things that have been designed not by women for women, and they're actually creating problems in our spaces, like in our reproductive health, in our cervical health. I'm getting loud. I'm getting mad. Well, it's just so infuriating.
That reminds me, like, I remember when we used to use condoms and how it would feel like rough and like it was like scrapey and it like hurt. And that's probably because of all the chemicals that.
Your body was probably responding to it.
Irritated and agitated by it because we don't use. Yeah.
And then it makes you, and then when it's irritated, then that makes you more susceptible to bacteria and infections. And then your body just can't fight. I mean, I don't know. There's just so much bad stuff out there, but I do have some brands that make good ones that you can trust, or they did at the time when I had done the research. So there's hellocake.com. And
that's a condom brand. Is that a condom brand? Hello Cake.
And that's what we switched to. And I actually loved it. I was like, oh, I can feel you more. Like that was a good one. psgoodtimes.com. There's one, bcondoms.com. So this is the first Black owned condom that's aimed at the African-American market. And then alwaysberoyal.com.
I love these names.
I want to work for an agency that makes the names.
I know. And lovabilityinc.com. I mean, I just want to plead to the ladies. I know we're going to talk about lubrication, but lubrication is also in condoms. We have to be really careful. That's something I think most couples just put in the man's category. And you know what the first thing he said to me when I told him, I was like, we got to I was like, I can't believe it. I have solved this. You know, we've been struggling with this for a year. It's the condoms. And he was like, well, how expensive are those? I was like, I don't care.
Oh my gosh.
They are. You're breaking my vagina. You know, so are they a little bit more? Yeah. But do you have any idea how much money I spent and heartache and pain and damage? And when you have repeated damage to a cell, like through that physical intercourse, like you, in some cases with the right chemicals in play, which is what a lot of these have, you can start the cancer process. You can't just continually damage cells over and over. So I don't want anyone out there, if they're having that bleeding after sex or during sex, to just tough it out. Like you could create real problems for yourself down the road. Usually, like back when y'all were using them, Brooke, did you have an active role in which ones that you got or used? Or
I just got Trojans. And you know why? It's because it's the silliest thing, but our mascot at Wayzata High School was Trojan. It's like,
and I didn't even give it one thought.
No,
I didn't give it one thought because it was not even, I didn't realize, like, you're just pointing this. And this is what happens throughout my whole life. Like somebody points out something to me and I'm like, what? I had no idea. I didn't link like a condom with the spermicide on the outside. I think in my mind, I just thought the condom was a physical barrier and that there was I didn't realize the spermicide part of it. This is just like reveal. I haven't used them in forever. I mean, I haven't used them since I was 20.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about, you know, I wasn't very outspoken about protecting myself. When I think about myself in my 20s, like having that conversation, it was one thing just to agree to use a condom, right?
Yeah.
Some people don't want to and whatever. And then if I was, you know, I just wasn't that outspoken to protect myself back then, nor did I know. But I'm just wondering if there's a young woman in her 20s or so that's hearing this and saying, well, I would have trouble saying, oh, not any condom, but these condoms. And so I feel like for me, if I could go back, then I would just bring my own. and that makes sure that I'm protecting both of us, but I'm also protecting my health. And I really didn't look into it. I mean, all of those chemicals, they can't be good for the penis either.
No.
They
can't. Yeah.
But not as much as your vagina, because you're actually absorbing it. It's going, it's injecting it right into you.
Right into on the outside.
Right.
Yeah. And
right into your system.
There's like wounding involved, and you're bleeding.
Stuff is coming out of there. So it's kind of washing it out. And we don't have any of that. It's all going in us.
Oh, that's true. So ladies, be bold, bring your own, like make sure that you don't want to use something that's going to hurt you long-term. I just think there's this whole, like, how did we get so backwards? How are we, I mean, I would assume that something I rub on my breast, for example, would not give me breast cancer. So why can't that be true for lubricants? Why do so many of them have fragrances and chemicals and
fragrances parabens? Are chemicals.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much. There's dyes in these fragrances, a lot of them. But I think it's fascinating that this is allowed to be on the market, because everybody knows where that lubricant is going to end up. And so if they're known endocrine disruptors and vaginal cancer causers, then why can anyone walk in the, walk off the street and buy all these things and stick something in the primary place for the disease that it's going to cause? It's just
we keep hitting on reasons why its reproduction is so difficult. And, because it's a big problem right now. People are having massive problems getting pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
And yet here's one more example.
Yeah. Of why. Well, I mean, why are we messing with it? I mean, that's kind of how I feel about douching. Like, that's a terrible,
oh my gosh.
Like, the vagina is a self-cleaning oven. Like,
I've
let
never
it
douched.
do its thing.
I've never douched.
I haven't either.
I always thought it was douchey. I'm not douching.
But in some cultures, this is common, like douching and feminine washes and things. And
because we're so dirty. Women are so dirty. You need to just clean yourselves even more so. Like, that's really what the messaging that I was always like, why are we so dirty? Why do I have to wash out my vagina? That doesn't make sense.
I feel like because the vagina is like this delicate mix of bacteria. So you have to assume anything that goes in there is going to change it. One fun fact, because I know in a previous one, we were talking about how the vagina is acidic. Sperm actually has to have an alkaline environment to impregnate or whatever. And so like when men ejaculate, like it makes the vagina more alkaline temporarily, which is interesting if you're not using condom. Maybe if you're just using lubricant, like it's the vagina, it's going to be out of balance for a little while. After that sperm enters, it's going to create it more alkaline, and then more, not just susceptible to pregnancy, but more prone to be at risk for other things. And then you stick like a toxic lubricant up there, and it's just a recipe for disaster, I feel like. So there's do you want some commercial lubricants that I actually got to meet one of these in person at y'all's plant-based conference. I don't know if you knew it. Sliquid. I'm writing some articles.
What?
Yeah, they were there incognito. The founder of Sliquid Organics was the one selling the hot sauce. Do you remember next to our
No way.
That fabulous hot sauce? Yeah, and so
what are they called? Sliquid.
Liquid. Yeah.
You never told me that they did lubricant.
Yeah. Well, for some reason I ended up talking about sex. Because Matt and I were speaking on sex at your conference on intercourses class. And so he brought it up and gave me his card. He reached out. We've communicated a couple of times. And what's nice is Liquid, like, cause I was like, oh, so you know about, all these chemicals. He's like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. And they've got blog posts and actually a lot of information on their website. So that's a great brand. There's another one, Naked Silk.
Oh yeah. I can't believe this. This is just like blowing my mind. This is when I discovered when I read Dr. Furman's book about meat and dairy, and I was like, what? And you're just like, I'm never even, here I am, a toxicologist. I didn't realize that putting lube, up my vagina is actually going into my system. Because I just thought, oh, it's all natural. It's going to be good for me. They wouldn't put something bad on the market.
It's our most absorbent area.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I know that we do so many things like that we just don't even think of. And then once you see it, I'm like, oh, this makes no sense.
That's it. I'm never gonna. Yeah.
So Naked Silk, and then allocadabra.com. They have some, and then Silk, spelled SYLK. But I really like Sliquid. I like what they're about, and I like that it's organic. But you should always, you never know when labels change. So you should always, like, this is important. And again, ladies, if you want to, if you're afraid to have that conversation about particular condoms, then you need to be bringing your condoms. And the same with lubricant, you need to bring your own. And what if you're saying, oh, I really want to go like old school, legit, homemade? I can give you a really easy recipe.
Okay.
So it's DIY. You just you're like, no, I got this. I can imagine this like sitting in a pot in your fridge.
Thanksgiving dinner. Oh no, wait, that's my lube. That's not the gravy.
Oh my God, you have to do that to your kids and videotape it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, right? Or leave a jar by the bed. I feel like that's something my parents would have done just to keep me out of their room. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is easy. So you just put it all in a glass jar and shake it. So a quarter cup of fractionated organic coconut oil.
Fractionated, what does that mean?
I don't know. I need to look at it again.
So fractionated I think that's coconut oil? Processed. You said coconut oil?
Just organic coconut oil. Let's just do organic coconut oil. I think that's what's most important. A quarter cup of aloe gel.
Where'd you get that? Where'd you get aloe gel from?
At a good, like at our
like a natural
organic,
food store.
Yeah.
Can you make it? Can you get your own aloe? Can you use your own aloe?
Yeah, you can buy those.
Because I have aloe plants.
Yeah, I would say that would be the most natural, the least processed. Yeah,
I love that.
Whole Foods has aloe plants that are like massive, one big giant leaf, and you open it up, scrape it out. And not only that, but it's also a firmer. So like if you feel like you have like loose skin and you want to firm it, like if you rub that on that, it firms it up.
Okay, there. I feel like we're all going to go to Whole Foods and buy these aloe leaves now and be like, it's also a little phallic shape. That's funny.
I love it. Can you eat aloe? You can eat aloe, can't you? I think you can put it in a smoothie or something. I think
possibly. Yeah. Okay, wait, there's more.
Okay.
And then
go.
1 to 4 drops of essential oil. And so there are some that have shown to soothe vaginal tissues. That's why it's in there. So it's not like for fragrance. And so the ones that help soothe those vaginal tissues are clary sage, Roman chamomile, Cape chamomile. And some of these are common. Rose, lavender, frankincense, frankincense and sandalwood. Yeah.
I love frankincense.
Yeah, you never. And so I don't want somebody to just, skip the oils if you're like, you would never just put oil directly on your skin or in your, it always needs to be in a carrier. Yeah. So I would start with just 1 drop in there and see how your body responds to that. But this is super easy and it'll keep a long, long time. And
so then how do you
jar? Just put it in the jar.
Is this what's this? What's the consistency when you make this up? Is it like a gel by the time you mix it up, or is it water or?
Yeah, no, it's going to be like, it's pretty thick. So you can just get a little bit and smear it on. Yeah. And this is, you could put this, it's only going to make about a cup. So you could put it in like a little pint jar and just shake it and kind of have something to get it out and apply it put it all over him.
Do you have to keep it in the fridge?
Yeah.
No, you don't have to. I would assume that it would last longer.
But that would be cold.
Yeah, that would be kind of
especially if you're putting it directly on him. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Like talk about being frigid, right?
Yeah, right. I'm like an iceberg down there.
Yeah. Oh your vagina is frigid. We just have to be careful. I mean, and I don't, like you could just use the coconut oil on its own. I think the aloe would be good, but I really like the idea of the essential oil for just soothing inflammation, especially if the woman is using it because she has dryness. Like that agitation is going to create inflammation. So I just want to encourage ladies. We have to be careful. I think there's so many things we were just raised to do. And then I think there's so much emphasis in, pregnancy prevention of like teaching girls to have like stand up for themselves, say we have to use protection.
Absolutely.
But what about protecting ourselves? There's,
I wonder about tampons and all that stuff. That we're just like right there all the time. Like how many tampons did I go through in my life?
Oh, you don't have to wonder. They're extremely, extremely dangerous. I mean, I recommend that women only use organic ones because tampons are a little different. They have, when they're bleached, so they have like dioxins and furans. Use toilet paper?
Yeah, like toilet paper also is toxic. So this is a recycled toilet paper, and it doesn't have any chemicals, no bleach, because they put bleach. So that's another thing.
I use that too.
Bleach, bleach is really bad.
Toilet paper,
for cancer and I actually moved away from. I had always used tampons, and I moved to organic, and then I really liked those. I think they're called Thinks, like the period panties. I got into using those.
We didn't have those back in my day.
They're new. I was like, oh, this is what the kids are using. Let's try this.
I think my daughter used something like my daughter used something like a cup. It's a cup.
Oh
Insert it.
That looks uncomfortable to me.
I just no way. Those, and
like no way. It's like a Dixie cup.
My friend used one of those, and she was taking it out, and I guess it slipped and flew all over the wall. She's like, someone got murdered in my bathroom.
Oh my god.
But either way, that's a much healthier option. Then we just need to be careful.
It's better for the environment for sure.
Wild. We just have to be careful what we're putting up there. So homemade lubes, you can make it, or you can buy good ones, organic, and then condoms, get organic ones. Make sure you're checking for those specific chemicals because and they come up with new stuff all the time. But it's getting to be more common and mainstream. The more people talk about it, and I think with women trying to empower themselves with their sexual health, I don't understand why this is not part of the conversation in all the conversations with young women. This should be near the top, I feel like. So
this is wonderful. This was wonderful. I'm so excited.
One more thing to add for the soy. I got I had like such a heavy soy lunch the other day. I got the edamame noodles and then added actual edamame to it. And then kimchi. And it was really good, but it was just like really, so it's like you're getting that feel of some like a pasta, but it's just all bunch of protein.
Oh, I love that idea.
I haven't tried
pasta.
those.
Where'd you get that? Do you know where you got it?
This is my other secret. Home Goods.
What? Home Goods?
Yes, they have food.
Yes, they have a food area, and I always get like some really cool, funky spices. They have a lot of organic stuff, and then they'll have like if you want like a gnocchi or like things from India, from Italy. And then when I was there this last time, they had all these different edamame pastas, and I bought a bunch up. But you can also order it online.
I gotta go. I gotta go to Home Goods.
I need
and they also probably Whole Foods.
I didn't realize the point of your story was to tell us about edamame noodles. I thought you were going to say like you had a super soy day and then you were like super wet.
Right. For like 4 weeks.
Waiting for that. I know. Just like your husband barely touched you.
Right. He walked down the street and I heard his name.
Yeah. Like the mothers with like the
with their breast milk. Oh my God. You hear a baby cry.
I mean, maybe that did happen, Brooke, too.
Maybe.
That's funny, Catherine, because I was thinking the same thing. Like, I'm gonna add tofu today to lunch, and I'm gonna get some.
I think we all need to get ready. I think you should try it, Patricia, and like report back to us.
I will.
Also, I see what happens.
I will.
Yeah. I mean,
soy sauce on my edamame pasta.
Yeah.
Kimchi. Yeah.
I mean, we know men, like when they consume soy, like they notice differences in their sexual performance immediately. I don't know how quickly can take place for women.
Well,
so.
it's a good compliment.
Anyway,
I got to add that to my Thanksgiving table.
Yeah. Okay. Good chat today.
All right. Very good. Thank you, everybody. Hey, listen, as always, if you guys have stories or things that you've tried or any questions, please let us know. Drop us a line. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.